Hello everybody and welcome to our unboxing of the latest wave of releases for the beautiful, amazing, wonderful game, Imperial Assault.
Beautiful, amazing, wonderful.
We are going to take a look at these expansions, both the
adjectives there.
Both the campaign and skirmish elements of it. What we will not be covering is the actual missions that have been added to the game through these expansions because I don't want to ruin the story for you.
No, you got to play through it.
But I will say
campaign,
I have peeked at the maps from those and they look very cool. But we will be covering all of the new characters and character cards from this, as well as the command cards, and really giving our thoughts on how they affect the game.
And diving in, and let me tell you, Zach is the skirmish player of the bunch. I got to tell you, that guy plays a lot of skirmish. You can see already he's half painted his models, which is actually a big part of skirmish and campaign, I would say.
Yeah, I have Obi-Wan primed up. I have the Inquisitor painted.
Like the important thing to start as you're watching this, the models look like Greedo out of the box. Gray,
fair. They do
normal
look like
plastic, no bases on them, that kind of thing. Zach has, it looks like primed old Ben, but not quite gotten to work there.
Nope.
Yeah, well.
And I've painted the Inquisitor. Also have my nice bases from my command tokens.
But Inquisitor looks quite good there.
Yeah, he's almost done. I got highlights and stuff to do, but he's started.
And those are the custom bases that we offer in acrylic to keep them keep the tokens off the board. So
yeah, I like to use mine the colors to complement. Like you see the blue on Obi-Wan, it's nice. His saber will be blue. So it's cool. It's cool. Ooh. My Imperial list, red, black.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Right, anyways, let's dive in. Let's start with the Grand Inquisitor. This is a character from Star Wars Rebels. I'm so in love with the show.
What's the give me the word on the Grand Inquisitor? So what is he, right?
The Grand Inquisitor is ultimately like one level down from like a Vader.
Okay.
Right. So he's a Force user. He's like not a Sith because there's only 2 of those.
It's like a vice president. Is he like secretary?
It's like
Secretary of State.
What happens is like the Sith is all about like control and betrayal and anger and all that, right? So like
it must be an excellent government.
Yeah. That's a Sith, not the Empire, right? So Vader, as has been seen now in the comics and the various books, that will from time to time have apprentices that he's training, or various Sith people. Palpatine has other apprentices, and so what'll happen is, Vader's like, hey, join me to Luke, right? Yeah. He's trying to get Luke to be his apprentice so that he can overthrow the Emperor and become like the supreme Sith.
But this whole system revolves around a kind of a weird system of constantly trying to prevent the apprentice from overthrowing you, while you're also trying to overthrow the guy above you, right?
Yeah, but so it's crazy. They really explored this in Lords of the Sith, the book.
It's kind of like really free market. It's kind of social Darwinism.
Well, it's about power, right? So it's cool to watch, especially in the comics and some of the new books they're putting out with Vader. He's kind of always constantly considering taking out Palpatine.
Right.
But Palpatine continually showing him that he's more powerful.
Right.
And so if Vader tries and fails, Palpatine will kill him.
Right, of course.
So
it's the final gambit.
It's that there's a lot of times where Vader's like being tempted to do it.
Yeah.
And Palpatine's like, I sense that you're being tempted. If you try it, I will kill you.
I get it. I get it.
It's
kind of like how we run Covenant.
Yeah, anyways, that's exactly how it works. Every night I'm like, hey, Steven, how's it going? Anyways, Grand Inquisitor, let's dive in. Enough of the flavor. Oh, one last note. So he was the main villain from early part of Star Wars Rebels.
Mm-hmm. Kind of well-received show, by the way. I've heard nothing but accolades about that.
The new Thrawn news from Celebration. Thrawn is going nuts. He's officially back. He's going to be canon. Hopefully we get a model in Imperial Assault. But enough of that. Let's get into the game.
All right, let's talk about it.
Grand Inquisitor, he has 9 points. He's Imperial. He is a Force user. He's also a hunter, which I find really interesting. Oh. Hunter is something that we have typically seen on the bounty hunters.
Okay.
There's a lot of command cards that play off of hunter. So them getting this is actually a pretty cool synergy happening here. Yeah.
Okay, so we can see a Sith like bounty hunter synergy.
Yeah, because they have the old temporary alliance. They can bring 2 scum units in, so you could easily see like Inquisitor with a couple bounty hunters.
All right.
Anyways, he can surge for +1 damage. He can surge for Pierce 3, which is strong. He can also surge for Cleave 3. So Cleave is a model that is next to you after you've attacked. That's not the model you're attacking.
Yep.
So
one model, right?
Any one model. So you can Cleave 3 into another model, which is really great. He's got 15 health, which is pretty strong. It's pretty big for 9 points. 5 speed, which is just the golden number. I mean, if you have 5 or greater, you're in good cahoots.
If you're saying it, I'm believing it.
Yep. He also rolls a white defense die, so Dodge City. And his attack is one of the most powerful in the game. He has a red, a green, and a yellow. 3 dice.
Ooh, nice.
Anytime you see 3 dice on a model, it doesn't matter what 3 they are.
It's a primo model. It's a sports car of
yeah, so he's got damage in red, he's got surge in yellow, and he's got the balance in green. So he's just got a nice, he's gonna hurt models.
I would say it's a consistent model. Consistent attack, right? You can plan on a pretty nice even spread of
and you can pierce 3 through blocks, right? So even with strong armor, you would assume you're gonna get a surge or 2. And he has a couple other things that make him even more interesting. First up, he can take an action to do a lightsaber throw.
Okay.
So that is he can perform a ranged attack using a red and a yellow die, apply +3 accuracy to the results. So he doesn't have a ranged attack. His 3-die attack is melee, so he has to be next to a model. But he can throw his lightsaber, which he is known for doing in the show.
Okay.
And he essentially has 3 accuracy. The red has no accuracy on it. The yellow has 1s and 2s. So you could technically lightsaber throw someone 5 away.
Okay.
Now here's the bonkers part of this.
Tell me, I'm on the edge of my seat here.
So the way cleave works is
no way.
you actually can cleave
No
a model
way.
in range.
Really?
So with a melee attack, if you're cleaving, this is the first model that has any sort of range with a cleave.
Wow.
So if I cleave 5 away, like I can cleave a model 2 away, but if I roll 5 range, I can cleave into a model 5 away.
So you're saying
I am saying
that I roll the dice and I attack somebody next to me, but if the dice display like let's say 4 on my range, I can then cleave somebody 4 spaces away.
That's right. And so he has a built-in +3, but the yellow can only ever roll 2 range. So the max you're going to roll with, because it's a red-yellow, you're replacing your 3-die attack for a 2-die attack with range.
Okay.
So the max you're going to roll naturally
and he can still
is 5.
cleave that attack, is what you're saying.
He can still cleave that attack. So
basic
you have to get a surge, you have to roll the range.
Wow.
Now, you can imagine there might be ways to increase that range, which we'll get to in a minute. But that's an incredible, like...
So what if I'm lightsaber throwing and I still have to do a melee attack, is what you're saying? So I can't like throw just my primary thing. I can't just throw a lightsaber at somebody.
The lightsaber throw, you do a ranged attack.
Then what happens if I cleave? Like, let's say my first attack hits somebody 3 spaces away.
Yep.
Do I cleave from that model, or do I still cleave from my
yourself?
Individual self. Okay.
So it's like, imagine he throws the lightsaber at Vader and like he loops it around with the Force and it comes back to him, like you've seen, like a boomerang. Yeah. But sometimes it's like lightsaber throw this way, hit a guy. Lightsaber throw 5 that way. It's wild. Wild.
Okay, so they've done it, basically. They've made the game work in a way that accurately represents what we expect from the Grand Inquisitor, given his behavior.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the problems you saw with like a Vader early on. He says 18 points, he rolls 2 reds and a yellow, which is the most brutal offense in the game.
Crushing.
But he also doesn't have reach or range, and he's a slow model.
Right.
So he has the Force choke, which is line of sight, but like his problem was you're spending so many points, and your opponent can position a lot of times in a way you can't even attack. And this is not the case. The Inquisitor, he can attack. Now he does... The difference here, right?
Guns on target. Is what
we'll compare him to Vader in a minute. So
Sabers on target.
Next up, we have Deadly. You can spend a surge to trigger Deadly. Apply -1 dodge to the defense results. That is the cancel all damage result.
-1, no X-Mans.
He can cancel an X-Man.
He's got no X-Man capability.
No X-Man capability.
Whoa!
So good. And finally, he has defensive. While defending, if you did not roll a block result, apply +1 block to the defense results. So he has a white, so his blanks become 1. His surge cancel becomes +1 block because he didn't roll a block. His dodge actually gets a +1 block, so if someone triggers like Deadly on him.
So if he X-Mans, he also gets a block?
He also gets a block.
I guess it doesn't usually matter, right?
Unless they're able to remove it. And there's a card.
Now, question, Zach. Question.
Tell me more.
Because you're way more up to date with Imperial Assault than I am. On that Deadly, the surge thing, do you have to declare that before they roll their dice? Before they roll their X-Man potential dice? You can do it afterwards?
Yep.
Okay. You do all the dice rolling, then you modify.
Yeah, you roll technically simultaneous.
All right, fair.
So,
fair. So it's very valuable.
9 points, right? 15 health. He rolls a white die. He gets a free block.
This seems really good.
It is it's like I don't want to say it's the best 9 points in the game, but it's really strong. This is what you want out of a Force user. It's not overly aggressive. Like he's not. It's not.
You know, we see this pretty often with these games in particular. The design team seems to really move into that sweet spot of understanding value in the game.
Yeah, and I think they have. Like, it's very, very evident. You look at the Bespin wave that we got. The cost curves are way more correct, and they're doing some interesting things to make those more expensive early models.
Yeah.
More interesting, which we'll see some of those in a minute. Woo. But Inquisitor is a great model, and he gets some cool command cards to go with him. This is going to be a great villain both in the campaign and also in the skirmish version of the game. Yeah,
it's cool.
Campaign, he shows up on as far as the skirmish goes, I think he works in so many lists. Imperial, Force users, he can splash with the hunters. He's just a great 9-point model.
So we're going to see this guy for a while.
He is here to stay. He's inquisiting.
All right.
Couple command cards. First, he gets Hunt Them Down, which is his command card. Only you have to play it with him. 2 points of your 15 for your command deck. Use when you declare lightsaber throw. Apply +2 accuracy to the attack results. This attack gains cleave 2. So he gets +2 range and an auto cleave 2.
Wow.
Triggered in his ability, you can cleave against another model. You could essentially do 3 to one, 2 to another, and the attack to another.
Man, that kind of gets me juiced, man.
It's really good.
I mean, that's the kind of thing that gets the adrenaline going. Just thinking about it.
You can picture it, right? It's like he's throwing the lightsaber around.
Yeah.
And it's really cool because they're giving us these command cards that seem very powerful, right? But at the same time, there are the spy builds, essentially, that are getting more and more of this command card control, canceling, not allowing your opponent to draw, discarding cards. Oh, great. You know, let's just say no player.
Cancels.
Next up, we get Imperial Force User card, Deadly Precision. Okay. 0 points. Use it at the start of your activation, so when a model goes, you use it. While attacking during the round, apply -1 dodge to the defense results.
And that's the X-Man.
That is the X-Man. So this is really good in particular for a model like Vader. Imperial Force User, you go Brutality 2 models that are rolling white dice, you know, like Saboteurs, and then they both roll dodge.
Yeah.
Vader only gets 2 or 3 attack turns a game, so like you can't just lose it.
Weasel out of it.
Yeah, so this is pretty good. I mean, it'll anytime you're using a Force User as a 0 pointer, this will consider being a slot and just get rid of a dodge.
Yeah, and 0 points.
0 points.
Yeah, can't
throw it in. Next up, Force Surge, Force User. Use it at the end of your activation to move up to 1 space. Movement's good. Then choose an adjacent hostile figure. Okay. That figure suffers 2 damage and a strain.
Straight up.
2 damage and a strain.
Okay.
End of your activation, you can move a space, do 2 damage to an adjacent model, and they take a strain.
Seems useful.
It's pretty solid.
I would
2 points though. That's the caveat there. And finally, we have Force Rush, and these command cards all come in the Inquisitor, by the way. This is all in the same box.
It's a juicy box, man.
Force Rush, Force User 0 points. I love this card. Art's great. Use at the start of your activation, you gain 2 movement points. Movement's great. Vader in particular loves movement.
This game loves movement. Honestly, I've never been more sure of anything. I mean, this game really, really loves movement.
Very positional.
And that's why it's one of the cooler games to come down the pipe recently. Because it's all about maneuvering, and I like that.
Yeah.
I like it. It's
like squad-based maneuvering, right? Like it's very
feels
cool.
good, man. Yep. We got to get this campaign going again.
I agree. So that's the Inquisitor. I think he's an incredible model. 9 points of just pure brutality.
Well, why don't we dive into Old Ben?
Let's take a swing on the light side.
Old Ben, Obi-Wan Kenobi. There's 2 versions of Obi in this one.
Wait a second. We get 2 Obis?
We get 2 Obis. Double Obi. Double the pleasure.
Double the Obi.
Double the Obi. He's got a 10-point campaign version and a 7-point skirmish version.
Okay. All right. Cool.
So we now get to see that there is a very clear difference between how these guys are going to function in both campaign and skirmish. Let's start with the campaign.
Yep. Let's dive in.
Shall we? Obi-Wan Kenobi is a Jedi Knight. He's a Force user. He costs 10 points. He has +1 surge cancel. That's right, just built in.
Yep.
He has a surge for +2 damage, and he has a surge for Pierce 3.
Pierce 3 is good.
Yikes. All right, now let's get into him. He got 12 health, 4 speed, black defense die, and the same attack that you were just amazed by in the Inquisitor.
Yep. It's a
red, green,
attack.
and yellow. We call it the Rainbow of Death. And then Obi comes in with Use the Force and Mind Trick. Starting with Use the Force. While another friendly figure within 3 spaces is performing an attribute test, apply +1 surge to the results.
That's really good. So a lot of times when you're making an attribute test in a campaign, you need 1 or 2 surge results.
It's just a little like force, like.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, I got you. I'm assisting.
Just that kind of a nice, just gentle motion. You can just see it. He just looks over there and is like, help. Just a little help.
Or, you know, maybe you're stressed out.
He's not flashy. Old Ben has never been flashy.
No.
You know what I mean?
I mean, if you've seen that lightsaber fight, he is not.
He's not flashy. He's kind of like a slow, meandering man. Then we finally have Mind Trick. And once during your activation, you may choose up to 2 hostile figures within 4 spaces of you. Push each of those figures 1 space.
That's good.
Straight up. And you just do that for free once during your activation. So that's pretty critical. Move. Yeah, it's just. Again, another kind of like old school Obi move. You may not even see a hand there.
Yeah. There's no move. It's under the cloak.
But I like that it's just you get to do this basically every time during your activation. There's a very few instances where you probably wouldn't want to try to benefit from that kind of an ability. And that's really nice. So here we have a very great utility figure coming into the game, doing some campaign stuff.
And that's
what do you
honestly,
think about this?
That's the main note on this to me is the attack.
Yeah.
Like especially in campaign.
He's bringing big guns.
In campaign, because you have to build your characters, especially like during the first half, you're just not as offensive. And so if you can get this mission early, get Obi-Wan as an ally and be able to play him in a round,
big deal.
He can just he is bad against like against troopers. He can do some pain.
Yeah, dude, he just shows up and then
moving him
Imperial
around,
players
like knocking him out and stuff. Yeah, it's really good.
Old Ben into house.
He's strong. He is strong with the Force.
All right,
so he's gone. He's now gone. Yeah. He's gone with the Force.
Now we're going to deal with Skirmish.
All right.
Obi-Wan.
I like Skirmish.
I see Obi-Wan as a man who is avoiding skirmishes as often as possible. So I'm curious to see how he comes through in the Skirmish version. He's a 7-point figure, a Force user. He has +1 to surge cancel there, surge for +2 damage, and surge for pierce 3. So the exact same thing. He's 12 for black defense and the same attack stat. So everything the same, but his 2 abilities have changed, as you might expect. You're not doing a lot of attribute tests, etc. We have Alter Mind and Into the Force. So starting with Alter Mind, hostile figures with a figure cost of 6 or less. So these are the lower end guys.
I mean, it's everything but the uniques,
But the uniques. Within 3 spaces of you, cannot interact, and are not counted for the purposes of control.
This is crazy.
These are not the droids you're looking for.
They are not the droids looking. It's so.
Move on.
So I think this. You're just like. I think this is so interestingly powerful. Like he's a 7-point model with 12 health.
It's the kind of powerful that you just want to like see if you can exploit.
Yeah, I mean it's always
just
good, right?
Around.
It obviously depends on the scenarios, but. Almost every scenario, this is going to be important. They can't interact with the objectives.
How annoying is that?
So, like, if there's like a hey, you have to go pick this up, you have to interact with it, pick up. It's like
I'm
going to go stand next to it, and you can't pick it up.
He's altering the mind. He's
and
just
the problem
like,
with that is like, well, now you have to what do you do? It's like you have to kill him first.
Yeah. And what are you gonna? He's bringing the cannons, man.
You better be able to kill him, and he does bring the heat. Well, he will punch some stuff. And again, but he doesn't have any. What he doesn't have, he has a very high octane attack.
Yes.
A single attack.
Yes.
Unlike the Inquisitor, who can lightsaber throw into a couple guys or cleave.
He can get some business done.
Unlike Vader, who can choke and attack, he's going to be like laser focused on a guy, right?
Yeah.
But what he can do is he can go one-on-one with someone like Vader.
He can just hold you off and still can prevent that control and be in the wrong place at the right time.
I seriously can't wait to have Obi-Wan come around the corner and Vader, and it's like, it's a fight because he can do that. He has Pierce 3 and +2, right?
Come true, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what you want. He has Pierce 3 and 2 damage and the 3 attack dice, so like he can literally actually work on Vader.
He can make it
right?
happen, yeah.
And he's only 7 points. So
but speaking of the theme that you're talking about here, Vader Obi-Wan fight, let's look at Into the Force. I think it's relevant here as a nice segue into the conversation. When you are defeated, choose another friendly figure. That figure becomes focused.
That's so cool.
Period.
Yeah. It's like
All right, there he is.
I think that's a really great model.
For 7. I mean, he's a 7 cost.
Yeah.
This is not significant. That's a great value. I'm into it.
What's the command deck?
A couple of command cards. We have Obi's command card. I must go alone. So thematic. 1 cost. Use at the start of a round until the end of the round. Hostile figures cannot declare attacks targeting you unless they are within 3 spaces of you.
So they can't shoot at you.
She can't shoot at you.
That's really good, right? So like you can't interact with things within 3 of him. And then if he plays this on the turn when your troopers or HKs can come around the corner and shoot him,
they can't. He's just standing there. You can't shoot him. You can't interact with stuff.
Just throw your hands out. Throw your hands in the air.
Demigod over there.
Kind of a demigod.
As they say. And then we have a powerful influence, and it's for Force users, and it's 2 cost. Use at the start of a round until the start of the next round. Hostile figures within 3 spaces of you cannot interact and are not counted for the purposes of control. And of course, a Rebel Force user.
So that's basically Obi-Wan's ability.
Obi-Wan's ability at the start of the round. Hostile figures in 3 spaces of you. So any Force user can get a little bit of Obi-Wan.
Can you imagine? And I can.
I'll close my eyes.
This is why I've built a list like this. Obi-Wan Kenobi and other Force users, right? You play this card. You essentially have 2 bubbles of within 3 that can't be interacted with.
This is getting crazy.
Which is crazy because you can put them in like a spot where it's like you can't interact with the objectives.
So this is really like we're starting to get into some serious control decks here.
Yes,
right?
we are.
Look at you, face light up like a Christmas tree over there.
I'm excited. I'm excited for Jedi like control. That's going to be fun.
All right, well,
let's Obi-Wan. I think is a great addition. You get the campaign. I love the campaign/skirmish versions of the cards.
And let me say this: of any reason to have Obi-Wan, I think this model is probably it. It's pretty representative. It's beautifully representative.
I think it's my favorite model so far.
It's just old Ben. I mean, it's just
the right
correct.
pose. He has his cloak spinning up. He's got a saber in the right spot.
It's nice.
It's just what you would expect. And I will say, just the quality of the models as this game goes on continues to be.
It's improved.
You got the core set, and it's like, oh, these are really good. And then like you see this.
Those Banthas were killer.
Those Banthas are killer.
And now we got Obi and Greedo and these guys. All right.
Speaking of Greedo,
you wrote a blog about Greedo.
I did. It ain't easy being green.
Just the other day, at a prompt, just kind of a random prompt around the office there.
You just get emotional sometimes when you discuss these things, and it's like Greedo, bounty hunter, tracking down Han.
Yeah.
He gets shot by Han, of course. And I feel like in every game I've ever seen him, he just gets pinned with like these like negative abilities.
Always.
because he got killed by Han, and he couldn't capture Han. And to be honest, no one else could.
Yeah, so the point is, I mean, Boba Fett even had trouble.
He had to have Vader.
Trouble with Han Solo, and he's the best in the business. And then Greedo, I mean, honestly, pretty close. Technically, pretty close. But then there's a lot of theories on this. So you need to read that blog. I think Theorist laid one out.
Oh man, there's so much going on.
A lot of theories, a lot of good theories about Greedo. Check it out.
Anyways, let's get to the man, the myth, the legend, Greedo. 4 points. He's a hunter and a smuggler. Scum villain, obviously. He has +1 accuracy, +1 damage. It's good. He can surge for a bleed. He can surge for +2 damage, and he can surge for +3 accuracy.
I love the idea, by the way. Before we get in, I love the idea of Greedo showing up in a campaign.
Right?
Isn't that the coolest thing?
Popped out.
Here he is.
He's 7 health, 5 speed. He rolls a white defense die, so he's a dodger, and he rolls 2 greens on attack.
Okay.
So that's actually pretty solid.
It's funny that he rolls green dice, of course.
Yeah, of course. That's funny.
He needs to be in green, man.
But he's 4 points, right?
Yeah.
So you're getting a 7 health model with 2 attack dice and 5 speed for 4 points. You also get slow on the draw.
Aww.
When you declare an attack, the target may interrupt or perform an attack targeting you. This is the negative, right? So I declare an attack on your model, and you immediately can fire back. Now, that seems really bad at first.
I mean, but also that's not really that thematic, right? Because like Greedo's not getting outshot by a Tusken.
He's getting outshot by Han Solo.
He's getting outshot by Han Solo. This is my point. This is exactly what you're talking about.
So that's kind of my theory, right? Like, so in X-Wing, the Falcon has like the YT 1300 without the Falcon title has the craziest dial for a big ship, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, that doesn't make that much sense. The 1300 is not that good. It's the Falcon that's good.
It's the Falcon.
Like the Falcon's what should give it the. Anyways. So yeah, of course he gets slow on the draw, which is representative of when he got shot by Han. Unfortunate, but before then he wasn't slow on the draw. He killed everyone else he tried to kill, right?
Yeah, and it wasn't that slow.
He's still alive.
I mean, it happened very quickly.
It did happen quickly, and depending on which version of the movie you're watching. Yeah, I'm not gonna get into that.
That's true.
Anyways, but the mechanical version of this that I want to talk about is what happens if you shoot a guy who has only melee attack?
Okay.
Can't shoot you back.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
So
he can go poach the melee guys. Yeah.
He can also. Let's say you have a Saboteur with a focus, or an HK with a focus, who you're really planning on doing some damage with.
Yeah.
I go up and I shoot you, and it's like, you can shoot me back, but you're going to have to waste your focus here.
You're giving me the old Greedo gambit.
Yeah, so Greedo's really incredible. Like, don't get me wrong, 4 points for what he can do. He's going to be in a lot of lists.
Well, particularly, there's another ability there.
There is, parting shot. When you have suffered damage equal to your health, before you are defeated, you may interrupt or perform an attack. Then you are defeated. So that's also pretty cool, right? I shoot you.
Shoots on his way down.
You can shoot me back, but if you do and you kill me, I also get to shoot you again.
And at any point during the game, Greedo goes down, he can take a shot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that right?
Which is pretty solid.
Okay, that's fine.
I think it's a very interesting and cool take on Greedo, but I do think he gets a little more heat from the old Han Solo encounter than he should. Let's get to the command cards real quick.
All right.
Also, as far as the campaign goes, before I dive too far, 4 points for this kind of a model in campaign. Whew.
Yeah.
That is a good cost curve.
I like it. I just love the idea. Also, by the way, and here's what I love the most. Greedo, like it's one thing to have old Ben show up and Vader show up and Inquisitor show up, but to give Greedo a second chance at every scenario that he might be brought into. And it's like, and then we were defeated by Greedo like showing up and actually being really good.
Yeah.
I love the idea of like that alternate kind of like history of Star Wars. Where
you just tell your own story, right?
Yeah.
And
man, Greedo, this is Greedo before being shot and he was awesome. Yeah. And it's like, I get to see that finally.
And I think that's what's really cool, like with these expansions we've been getting, including these, right? The campaign itself is now getting to a point because you have Hoth that's been added and Bespin. And you
feels
have these
a little alive, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's like who you're going to run in. The galaxy of Imperial Assault is starting to flesh out. And it's like who you're going to run into, right? Lando may show up to help you. Obi-Wan may show up to help you. Greedo may show up to hunt you. It's getting really good.
Play the campaign, guys. Seriously, play the campaign. It is incredibly fun.
Yes, agreed. Greedo's card, Stroke of Brilliance, 0 points. Use when an attack targeting you is declared. Apply +2 blocks and +1 search cancel to the defense results.
Okay. So this is the Stroke of Brilliance here is basically like the alternative to what happened in the movie.
Yeah.
Like dodging
you can see him dodging a bullet here.
Okay, perfect.
So in that case, it's like, you're going to shoot me, 2 blocks and a search cancel. Like
that's kind of a redeeming moment for Greedo, isn't it?
My only problem with this card is that it's taking up a command card slot.
Yeah.
It's only usable on Greedo.
Yeah.
And it's not. It's good, but it's not like destroying your opponent. Anyways, more Hunter cards to follow.
Okay.
Primary target, Hunter, 1 point. You can use 1 in your command deck. Use when you declare an attack targeting a hostile figure with the highest figure cost of all hostile figures on the map.
Okay, so this is when you're attacking the Big Daddy.
Big Daddy.
And specifically, and those are usually the last to go, right? I mean, like you think about Vader, I remember seeing and talking about all that. It kind of depends, I know, but a lot of times this could also mean like the remaining like 2 or 3 cost guy that's sitting around.
Or if the list is right, it could be the 9-point Panther.
Yeah.
Right? Like it could just be
that.
that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Anyways, you become focused and apply +1 damage to the attack results.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, you see a Vader.
Yeah.
You can play this primary target,
happen.
and it's like I get an extra die and also an extra damage. That's really good.
Okay.
In the shadows, Smuggler or Hunter, use at the start of a round. Until the end of round, hostile figures 4 or more spaces away from you do not have line of sight to you. You do not block line of sight for those figures. So you basically disappear for anything that is 4 or more spaces away.
Yeah, all right.
Which is pretty good, especially against
lists,
the HK madness.
All right. Well, there's Greedo. So we'll close it up here with what, a few skirmish upgrades?
Skirmish upgrades. This is probably one in each box, basically, and probably the most changing elements of the game.
All right.
Right here.
So starting with Channel the Force.
This is Obi-Wan's. This one comes with Obi-Wan.
1 cost comes with Obi-Wan. Exhaust this card when you would draw 1 or more command cards.
Okay.
Draw 1 fewer card than you would have. Then search your command deck for a card with a Force user trait. Reveal it. Put it in your hand. Shuffle your command deck. Choose a friendly Force user. That figure suffers strain equal to the cost of the revealed card. So go search for any command card that you want with a Force user trait. That's what that means, right?
Is incredible.
I mean, yeah. Anytime you're searching for anything, I need not go further, Zach.
Yeah. I mean, so it's not faction specific. Anyone can use it. Sith and Empire both, or Sith. Empire and Rebels both have Force users.
Yeah.
And cards that are immediately coming to mind are Sith Lightning, like being able to go get Sith Lightning on command.
Man, let me tell you. All right, that's a game changer.
So that card will be around. It'll make its way into Force user builds, and the more Force, we saw a couple extra in the Inquisitor pack. I think we'll keep getting Force user command cards.
You're not going to be at a shortage of Force user cards.
So
right?
At some point, it's like, well, go get the option that suits you best right now. Right? Super good.
Well, let's talk about advanced comm systems. This is an Imperial skirmish upgrade. Costs 1, leader-only attachment. Abilities on your deployment card that choose or affect adjacent friendly figures, or friendly figures within 2 spaces can choose or affect other friendly figures within 3 spaces instead. So basically, anything that affects anything on your deployment card can affect anything 3 spaces away.
Instead.
This
is huge. This is such an incredible upgrade.
It's advanced comm systems, baby.
Advanced comm systems. The primary.
Upgrade the tech.
The primary 2 that come into mind are Kane Somos and Blaze. Kane has an ability that is adjacent troopers, and now it's within 3 troopers get to attack. Like it's single-handedly that upgrade, which is cool, makes that model now 10 times worth.
That's
worth
real
it.
good.
Yeah. So keep in mind, adjacent models, even with the officers right now, they can command within 3 if you really want to. So
that's a good. This is just a good deck builder card. You know, it kind of can validate some lists that previously weren't getting it done.
And with the more options we're getting, it does validate older lists, and it also can serve as a spot to fill. Like you have a point left, right?
Right.
I have a single point.
Throw it in. Advanced comm systems. All right, and finally, let's go to Prey on the Weak. This is for the old bounty hunters, the scum. Skirmish upgrade. Attachment goes on hunters only. While attacking a figure with a figure cost lower than yours, apply Pierce 1 and +1 accuracy to the attack results. Killer.
So this is cool, and I think this is a symbol of what we're going to be seeing, right?
Yeah.
Which is they can essentially, you had early models, right? Like Vader, who are probably a little expensive for what they do.
Sure.
But what you can now do is start making that expensive cost a benefit. If all of a sudden a lot of bounty hunters are getting benefits for attacking things that cost less than them, now Vader is the trump card, right? He's 18 points. And so like he will never be affected by that. Inversely, you see the command card that gets a bonus against the most expensive model in the game. So I love what they can do just with this game,
well, you know, any game, the best balancing mechanism is going to be how much does the thing cost, right? That is the golden goose of like, how do you balance? Like, oh, well, if this thing is 5 or more, this thing can affect it and this thing can't affect it. Like, that's a very easy way to give value to cost without
like the value in and of itself is the cost, right? Where it's like, oh, because Vader's 18, it's like, as an example, you could, totally speculation, you could have a command card that's like, the highest point model on the board gets a focus. Yeah. Right? And it's like, in Vader's list, that's actually really good. Yeah. With Boba Fett, that might be a little risky. Yeah. Because you don't know what they're going to run. Anyways, I love that idea of that design.
Yeah, good space.
Well, there you have it. That's the expansion.
Man, look at these little packs. Look at it. They look good. They give you some great options. Expand the campaign. If you're not playing the campaign, start playing it. It is so much fun. Seriously, if you only just play the campaign once a year, 2 times a year, I think you'll probably want to play it more than that if you get into it. Absolutely worth it, and these expansions just add some nice flavor and some nice situations. And they really do, like you said, make that whole thing feel even more alive.
Oh, right? 100%. And that's
just like, random people showing up.
I played several, like 3 campaigns early on, right? Early in the game, when we first got the box, and we got some expansions. And I'm at the point where I basically took a break because I'd seen a lot of the missions and stuff. But at this point,
let's get back in.
I'm about ready to get back in. Probably one more wave, and I'm ready to
like
do another campaign. And I've actually, surprisingly, never played as the Imperial player.
Whoa.
Crazy.
You're here to hear first.
Everyone wants to be the Imperial player at first. Anyways, this has been the latest waves for Imperial Assault. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you on more Imperial Assault.
More and more and more. See you there.
See you guys.